What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday to everybody. You got a double dose of Canes content tonight on the YouTube. You got me for about an hour and 15. Not going to go too long tonight, but you'll get to listen to me ramble for a little bit. I'm going to talk to David Franklin for a little bit, talk some recruiting. And after me on the Canes Insight channel, you got them at 9. So yeah, Wednesday, best night for every night is a good night for Canes football content because we got you covered no matter what day. But Wednesday's a good one. Got a few people in the chat. Just give them time to fill up the chat a little bit. Let's see here. By the way, I was realizing the chat tends to fill up towards the end of the show, and it hit me. A lot of you guys watching online are not necessarily from the Eastern time zone, not necessarily in Miami, not local. Some of you guys are Central time zone, Mountain time zone, West. You know, for me, it's 7 p.m. I'm home from work and everything, but everybody else, they might be leaving work right now, might be listening in their car. So, let's give everybody a chance to fill up the chat, get in here. Let's see. Going to talk a little recruiting, like I said. Going to have David Franklin on. He's going to join us probably like around 7:20, 7:30 to talk some recent recruiting news. Quan Lee, very talented wide receiver. Love what he's been posting on Twitter, by the way. He's killing it with the quotes. I really want him on this team. But he will be announcing his commitment May 26th, next Wednesday. So hopefully we'll have a lot of good news to share by then. I'm not sure what time he'll be announcing. Usually they announce in the morning or during the day. But he plays out of Gainesville. He's from Gainesville, Florida. 3-star wide receiver on most publications, but not sure why he's a 3-star. Honestly, the kid is good. I mean, he is really good. So let's see here. Now we got a first. Randy Noel in the chat. What's going on, Randy? Hey, bro. Love your chat. Hope you're good. All's good, man. All's good. How you been, man? By the way, I'm just curious of where some of the fans are from. So if you don't mind telling me, Randy, are you from Miami? Or are you from another part of the country? I'm just curious, just for like time zone purposes. I'm starting to wonder if 7 might be a little early, but it's been working so far, so we'll see. But thank you, as always, for participating in the chat. Really appreciate it, Randy. Let's see. Let's get this going. Please, people, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. It costs you nothing. It literally takes a second. Just click on the subscribe button. It just alerts you every time I drop a new video. And just hit the little bell. That way you get it right away. Let's see, Randy, Wisconsin. You're from the Midwest, right? Yeah, that's the Midwest. Very nice. Javier, what's going on, man? Hope all is well. Who's the 4-star CD the crystal ball from today? I gotta find out. I heard about that too. I've been working all day. Now's the time of the day where I usually catch up on this stuff. But yeah, I know a big target got a crystal ball. It could be somebody. It could be somebody that we're targeting already. I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but it could be like a Jacoby Spells, Kamari Rogers, somebody like that. Like 15 minutes from the UW campus. Nice. Hey, listen, there are certain stadiums in college football I would love to visit. Randy, I don't know if you've had a chance to go to a Wisconsin home game, but that must be a pretty cool experience. I heard that those are some of the best fans in college football, from what I hear. I remember I was at the Orange Bowl game here in 2017 when they came down. Still pissed the way we lost that game. I mean, we should have won that game. But, man, their fans probably filled like 35% of the stadium, considering we were the home team. That's pretty crazy. And then their band was phenomenal. So they got some great fans. So that is one stadium I would love to visit. Bergie, what's going on, man? Hope all is well. By the way, I like the new default pick. I think you had the Rebel Alliance pick before. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I did notice that, but I like your new one. Very nice. But yeah, man, doing good. Please, if you're on, you haven't yet, hit the like button. Again, hit the subscribe button. By the way, while I'm on the subject of subscribes, if you caught me and Flo's show on Sunday, we were teasing a little thing that we want to do next Wednesday. I'm going to have him on, probably a couple other guests. Maybe I'll have Brad drop by, maybe Max, maybe, maybe we'll have a couple other guests. I want to do, and I don't think next week is too soon to do this. I think it will be good. But I would love to have like a live, like 1,000 subscribes watch show kind of thing. I don't know what you would call it, but I know a lot of YouTubers do that when they're like almost at 10,000 subs or 1,000,000 subs or whatever. They're like watching it live. I would love to do that next Wednesday because I'm within striking distance. I'm close. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 subs, and I would love to maybe if we can hit it while I'm on here live with a bunch of guests, that would be kind of cool. Kind of celebrate that way. Because it's a big milestone, YouTube and StreamYard and everything opens up a lot of things once you hit that 1,000 sub mark. So yeah, that would be cool. So if you guys can, if you have any friends that are Canes fans that don't subscribe to the channel yet, send it to them. Just tell them hit the subscribe button. Trying to get to that 1,000. Yes, it's great. Not a Badger fan, but State Street by Stadium has best beer and brats. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm sure the food is amazing over there. Yeah, I was going to switch to the Empire logo and so. Gotcha. Let's see here. I've noticed that theme. A lot of Canes fans tend to be Star Wars fans for whatever reason. I've noticed that too. Let's see, let me pull up this banner here. But what was I saying? So yeah, we're going to talk a little recruiting. Like I said, Quan Lee is announcing next week. So, we're going to have the 1,000 sub show. Maybe he announces that he's going to be a Cane officially next week. And, we'll have double reason to celebrate. So that would be cool. I honestly think, I'm going to ask David Franklin when he's on with us in a little bit here, in like 15, 20 minutes, what he thinks, where we stand with him. I like where we stand with him. We seem to be, how should I say this? We seem to be in his good graces, if you will. Chris Graves, yes, you're right. That's who it was for. The crystal ball today was for Chris Graves. Very talented, 4-star, listed as an athlete, but he's a corner, big corner, good size. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2". Good length. Yeah, this is going to be a nice haul for corners. This coaching staff has been much maligned, much criticized for their lack of depth, lack of true playmakers at the cornerback position. Between Graves, Kamari Rogers, who else? Graves, Kamari Rogers, Jacoby Spells, Earl Little's still kind of out there. I don't think he's going to be a Cane, but you never know. These things are fluid. These things change day to day. We could bring in four guys, maybe 5, super talented. Jordan Allen, it could be good. Yeah, I'm 51, so I saw Star Wars when it came out. So I said, "Damn, one of the OGs." You saw it when it came out. Best experience of my life. I was 7. Now I love the Mandalorian. Yep, Mandalorian's a good show. I was surprised. Mandalorian is actually very good. Hope we get Rodgers. Yeah, man. Of the corners, my two favorites are Rodgers and Jacoby Spells. On top of them being talented and me loving their film, they're just, like oozing swag, especially Jacoby Spells. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch his interview with Footballville with Streeter. This is a couple months ago. He was talking about how he runs a legit 4.2, 4.3, and he wants to beat DeMarcus Van Dyke's combine record of like running a 4.2 for cornerbacks or something. And he said it so confidently, like, yeah, I'm going to break that. No problem. So that kind of swag I want on my team. Quan Lee, another guy, oozing swag, talks about how he's not a camp on Twitter. He's talking about how he's not a camp guy. He's a football player. He shows you on the field. That's the kind of dog we want on this team. Let's see. I got a gut feeling T-Rob's going to snag Singletary. Interesting. Listen, with T-Rob, I mean, I feel like in the secondary specifically, I feel like we can land just about anybody. Just about anybody. I mean, yes, there's going to be those few that we're competing with Bama, and we're just not going to win that battle head to head. But for the most part, we're going to be one of those last 2 or 3 hats on the table, and it's not going to be like before. Well, at least we were in it at the end. No, we're going to land some of those guys. They're going to pick the Miami hat and put it on, just like Avante Williams did a couple years ago. That's the beginning of a trend. And that was without T-Rob. Imagine with him and DVD and Coach Ish. We've got some monsters on the staff when it comes to recruiting. Let's see. Oh, my boy. What's going on? FSU getting everybody. They're killing it. We only have 1 commit. What's going on? I'm worried we should have number 1 class right now. Did I cover everything? Yeah. No, you covered everything, man. I should just end the broadcast right now. Yeah, man. FSU's building a little bit of a class, but, getting those, as we know as Canes fans, getting a ton of commits early, getting a lot of guys to say, yeah, I'll come to FSU or I'll come to Miami, but getting them to sign in December or in February, that's a different story. That's a different story. Randy, he's kidding. he's very much kidding. I didn't even need to throw out the bat signal for All About the U. I didn't need to mention Zach McLeod or anything. He's already here. Yeah, man. So where was I? So Quan Lee, a few other guys. I wanted to talk with David also about who we're going after as far as offensive line. I really like the guys that Coach Justice is going after. As I've said many times on my channel, FSU decommit Phil. We'll see. They do have one stud in that corner. I can't place his name right now. You guys know who I'm talking about, the 1 5-star that they have. We all thought he was going to decommit, and he still might. You never know. If the FSU wins 4 games this year, they're going to have a hard time hanging on to anybody. But he grew up a Florida State fan and all that, so, they very well may keep him. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I've said on my channel many times, Julian Armella, of all the offensive line prospects, is the guy I would love in this class. He's blue chip. His ceiling is like infinite, basically. That guy could be a first rounder. But then I see some of the other guys that Coach Justice has offered. Richardson, for one. And who else? Jacob Hood. Help me out here in the chat. There was more guys that we offered recently, and man, I like those. I like those guys. To the point that if we land a group of 4 or 5 of these linemen that we've offered recently, and one of them is not Armella, Coach Justice just kind of moves on for him, doesn't sit around and wait. I would be totally fine with that. I'd be totally fine with that. But I'm wondering, does Julian Armella see that Coach Justice is kind of, not waiting around for him? He's offering other guys. Does Armella see that and then maybe like, oh, maybe I should grab my spot while I still can? Or does he wait till the end? Honestly, I think he still waits till the end. We'll see what David thinks in a little bit. Guy in Texas. God, why am I drawing a blank on some of these names? They'll come to me. Let's see, Bernie, what you got? Tejadas hinted that we should see a few. Yes, he did say that we should see a few commits coming in the next week. And I see obviously more coming in June with all the visits. So again, I know I'm beating this dead horse, but I am not worried about the fact that we just have 1 commit. It is, it's only May, and we do have the most important piece of the class. That would be the QB, Ja'Cory Brown. All the dominoes are going to fall after that. Yes, sir. Luca to the U. Absolutely. Please pray for that young man. Let's just say he needs your prayers. I mean, he always needs your prayers, but now more than ever. So please keep Luca in your thoughts and prayers, everybody. Let's see. FSU opens with Notre Dame 0-1. Yeah, I would agree with that. Although they're losing some of that O-line. They don't have that quarterback anymore. So I'm not saying they're going to beat Notre Dame. I'm just saying it's not going to be the bloodbath that people think. It's in Tallahassee. That could be competitive, at least in the first half. Wouldn't surprise me. Yes, sir. Please hit that like button. McCall will decommit. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see. We got our guest in the waiting room. Give me 1 second. Let's bring him on. David, what's going on, man?
Hey, well.
Ooh, I heard you for a second, then you cut out.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm good. Okay,
now I can hear you. Awesome, man. So how's everything been, man? How's the recruiting world? I know you're always on top of that stuff. I know it's a 24/7 thing.
It's cutting out on my end now. I'm gonna try something.
Okay.
It's cutting out on my end now. I'm gonna try something. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. It's cutting out on my end now. I'm gonna try something. Hold on.
Okay. That's quite an echo.
It's cutting out on my end. I don't know why I keep doing.
That's quite an echo. All right. Little technical difficulties, folks. Let's give it a second. Not worried about the commits yet. Let's keep in mind a lot of these kids will wait and see what kind of season they have. We'll get We'll get David back on in a second. We'll get the ones that are diehard Canes at first, but more will come. Yeah, man, I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I honestly think there's going to be a batch of kids that come in the next month or so that commit and stick with their commitment because they know spots are limited. But then there's going to be a group of guys that wait. Let's see. All right, trying on the phone now.
How's that?
That's better, much better.
All right, cool.
Better. How's everything going, man? How you been?
Good, man. I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, man. So, just want to have you on, talk a little recruiting. There's been some news lately. First thing that comes to mind is I know Quan Lee has become a much coveted target for the Canes, especially after, Isaiah Bond, he committed to Florida. So Quan Lee announces May 26th, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so what are you thinking? It seems like we're in a good spot with him. What do you hear? What's the feeling you're getting there?
One thing about recruiting, you always say you're never surprised. On that, I'm going to be really surprised if Quan Lee isn't a Cane. I feel like lately he's shown on Twitter and a few other things. It seems like he's got something to prove. He's felt a little disrespected, I think. I've heard Coastal Carolina was kind of after him. So you go from one extreme to the other. You want to prove yourself, Miami. You want to go to Coastal Carolina. I'll be surprised if he's not a Cane. I think he wants to show the world.
Yeah. No, and him, being only rated a 3-star. I looked at his film. I mean, he doesn't. Yeah. I've been following recruiting for a while now as a fan. He does not look like a 3-star to me. He's very talented.
No, absolutely not. No, he should have 4 stars, and I think that goes on to what I was saying. I think he feels a little shunned, a little disrespected, and I think he wants to, show up and show out, so to speak. So yeah, I look for him to be a Cane.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we were talking on Sunday, me and Flo, that we feel like we're probably still going to take 3 receivers in this class. I don't know what you think. Of course, it depends if we have more guys, leaving into the transfer portal. Either way, I think we're thinking about 3. I don't know if you agree with that, but Quan Lee as one of those 3, I would love to see that. Of the 2 other ones, we were talking on Sunday, Jaden Gibson, Mike Jackson, guys like that? Are those or Landon Ivietta, or are those some of the guys that are probably going to make that final three?
I think so. With Ivietta, I think his recruitment is going to absolutely explode throughout his senior season. I look for him to have a big senior season. If you go look at his offers now, you go back and look at his offers in September, October, you're going to see a lot more big names on there. Not to say we're going to be out of it, but he's going to have a lot more to think about in a few months. Isaiah Horton out of Nashville is a guy that I absolutely love. I've loved him the whole time. I've talked to him some. Excuse me. He has a little connection to Miami through Corn Elder as a family friend. I know some people are working on him. Another guy by the name of Taj Sanders out of Georgia. He's a guy that I think may be coming back around. He dropped a top 5 sometime back. I think maybe even back in February, March, and I think he may be popping back into the scene a little bit. So I think we take 3. My 3 have changed every week on wide receiver. So I would look for some of those names to kind of pop around. And like I said, once June hits, things are going to change again. So, but those are some names to look for.
Yeah. No, and I feel like it's going to be like they're going to target specific kinds of receivers, like a speed guy, a possession guy, a size guy. Like, I think it's going to be they're going to pick very carefully.
I agree, and I think when Bond committed, I think that opened the door for Lee for us to really hammer down on him. So, like I said, I think he's there, and probably 2 more, but it's kind of up in the air now.
Gotcha. And okay, we got a question from DJ Ghostface. What do you think about the crystal ball for Graves? I believe that was today. Somebody dropped the crystal ball for Chris Graves. He's been coming up a little bit, as a target. What are your thoughts on him?
I love Chris Graves, and I think we're in a very good spot. I've said all along, and it's one of my things. I've always got 1A and 1B guys, plan A, plan B, and I think, no disrespect, but I think you look at Earl Little always pops up. You've got names that are always there, and as some of those start to go away, guys like Graves are going to slide in. I think we're in a good spot with Graves, and I would not be disappointed to have him.
Oh, not at all. Because on the cornerback side, I feel like we're probably going to bring in like around 4, around there.
I agree.
That's going to be, I think, the most impressive haul in this class as far as one position group, because you got him, Jacoby Spells, Kamari Rogers, Jordan Allen. Like I haven't even mentioned Earl Little yet, so that's going to be, and a lot of them I feel like we're in a good spot for. Not saying we're going to, if we land all of them, I'll be ecstatic, but I feel like, maybe we land 3 out of those 4 or 5, and then a couple others. So I feel, I don't know if you agree, I feel like we're in a good spot for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. And that position, just overall defensive back, cornerback, safeties, we're going to be looking at some guys that can do both. I know T-Rob and I know DVD. A couple of guys I've talked to, recruits that are maybe cornerbacks in high school. We're actually talking to them as safeties, with a footnote that we want you to be able to go to double up. I think they're looking for guys that can do that. Maybe even somebody, and we've seen this in the past, that can slide from a bigger guy that can go from that DB safety, maybe down to a striker position, something like that. So they want versatile guys. They don't want just one-dimensional guys, and that's something different that I like with this new staff. So,
yeah. Do you think that that's not just something Miami's trying to do, that's just something college football in general is moving towards?
I think it is moving towards that, and you can either get on board or you can get left behind. And I'm glad to see Miami taking that second option, because we've seen in the past sometimes where other programs are going a different direction, doing other things, and we're sitting here going, what are we doing? I mean, it sounds simple to me as a fan. If I can figure it out, why can't the coaches figure it out? And I'm glad to see us taking that approach and kind of getting on board with the time, so to speak. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't have to say that about, we all know now about spread offenses that we were a decade behind, and same on defense. How many years were we just running a base 4-3 with linebackers that are just thumpers, like just run stoppers, and then all of a sudden we look slow.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's see who else. So I was so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the, first of all, the amazing job Coach Justice is doing, like throwing out offers all over the place. And it seems like, and I kind of like this, and I wanted to hear what you thought, because I know Julian Armella obviously is a huge target for everybody, and I'd be ecstatic if we landed him. But Coach Justice doesn't seem to be waiting around. He's looking to fill spots with the offers he's been giving out, and I love, some of the guys that he's offered. So even if they're like, more of a 3-star guy, they're still like, you heard him. They had one of them on Canes Insight last week. Richardson, I believe is his name. And dude's got swag for days, and he plays hard. He plays to and past the whistle. So I like the guys that are going after. I don't think he's sitting around and waiting for Armella. My question is, do you think a guy like that is going to see that and be like, oh, I should grab my spot with my end now while it's there? Or do you think he's just so good, he's just going to wait till the end and have his pick?
Either way, you've got guys like that. Like you said, some guys, they've got so many offers, they don't get in a hurry, and they do that. But I think Coach Justice is, when Manny first took over, he said something that's always stuck with me. And another, what it went along the lines of, if we offer and you want to be a Cane and then you're kind of wish something like that, then we're just going to move on. We're not going to harp on it. We're not going to, worry about it. We're going to have options. And if you look at what this staff is doing, what Justice is doing with the O-line, what we just talked about with defensive backs, look at the linebacker situation. We've got linebacker offers all over the board. Guys that can play inside, outside, move around. Defensive line is the same way. These guys are following Manny's lead on the recruiting trail. I'm telling you that. The way they are approaching it is what he said when he took over. It gets a little frustrating, but again, everything Manny has done up to this, or said he was going to do to this point, including the way he was going to attack recruiting, he's doing it. He's got to finish now. It looks good on paper. We got to bring him in. But the way they are approaching it, I've got a list in front of me of offensive line offers, and if I tried to name all these, you'd probably just cut me off. But it's like, it's like every day you pull up and here's another offer, and I'm like, wait, who is this? So now I'm going back and looking. But Armella, I think he's been number one on. He's kind of like the Earl Little of the O-line. His name's been there this whole time. Everybody wants him. Of course we want him, but we're not going to sit around and wait and be stuck come signing day because we put all our eggs in one basket with him. And I'll just tell you, Cameron Williams out of Texas, I've said it on every show. I want to be consistent. That's my guy. You talk about playing hard, and a lot of these guys we're going after, they go through the whistle. They don't stop. And big bodies, 360 pounds, 340 pounds, come in and make an immediate impact. So I love what Justice is doing.
Yeah, he's definitely going after a certain guy and a type of guy that we have not had in this program for a while. I feel like in a good 6 or 7 years since we had like Linder and McDermott and guys like that. Yeah, we've been missing that edge on the O-line for quite a bit, for sure.
Yeah, we won't get into this yet, I know, but when you talk about what he's doing now, wait until you see 2023, what Justice is doing there. I mean, he's got kids. I talked to a kid the other day, a couple of weeks ago out of Iowa that he has offered. He's 15, 16 years old, 6'7", 315 pounds, and just flat, just moves. And there's offers like that all the way down the line already for 2023. So he's trying to build that depth that we have not had in a long, long time.
Yeah. And you mentioned the thing that Manny Diaz said when he said this like back in 2019 when he first got hired, that if you're not going to commit, if you're going to kind of dilly-dally with it and wait till we're going to move on, which he got criticized for that. I don't know if you remember. Like, he was heavily criticized for that. But with the transfer portal and just the way recruiting has become, like, I think COVID kind of affected it too. That's kind of what it's turning into. It's like, hey, if you don't grab your spot now, like, you got to hold that standard. You know what I mean? And at first it might be rough, but you know what? He's backed up what he said, and now that's some more talented kids want to be part of the team, and
Yep.
it's making a difference.
Yep.
So let's see who else. If there's any other questions in the chat. Let's see. Finally, some good CV will be left out. Mullins sounds like he would be a commit. That's another talented kid. Yeah, he may be part of that group too. Let's see, offensive line. I say we take 4 to 5 offensive linemen. What do you think? Do you think that number is about accurate? I'm thinking like 4.
Yeah, 4 seems good. The thing, in my opinion, the offensive line is probably the hardest group to grade going from high school to college. It's if you're 6'6" and 350 pounds in high school, you're going to shove some people around, and lots of time, and that's why you get a lot of offensive linemen that just don't pan out. So I'm a big fan of going overboard there, bringing 5 guys. I think it'd be great. I feel comfortable, not fantastic, but comfortable with our starting group, offensive linemen. I think we could put 5 guys out there that can compete, but it's what happens after that that's concerning to me. So I think you got to just load the bus up and bring them in, and you bring 5, you probably get 2 or 3 that are going to pan out. So yeah, 4 seems good to me, but 5 would be better.
Awesome. Yeah, because with the depth, because I think if you're one recruiting class away from having serious depth on that O-line, because it's right there. Thing is, the injury to Ja'Kai Clark kind of hurt things a little bit. So now you went down from like 9 or so that can play, that have some snaps, some experience. You went down to like 7 or 8 now. So speaking of, have you heard anything about? Well, actually, I think I talked to Max about this last week. The kid from UNLV that they've been talking about for a while. It's from what I'm hearing that he has no reason to commit now. I think he's got to finish some classes or something, and he's going to be like maybe a fall commit. I don't know if you're hearing the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And honestly, it kind of got sort of quiet on him for a little while. For a few weeks, it was kind of like that's all you were hearing, and we were all excited. And now it just sort of kind of got swept under the rug or something. I've heard that about the classes, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anything concrete about if he is or if he's not. I just heard he had some things to tie up. But yeah, I know it got really quiet with that.
Yeah, same. I didn't hear much. Bertie wants to know who would be one recruit. I already have somebody in mind. One recruit we absolutely have to get in this class?
Wesley DeSaint.
Mm-hmm. That's who I was thinking.
Yeah. and I'm done. That's phenomenal. And then I'll give you an offensive. There's a defensive guy on the offense. You got, I think, somebody along that offensive line. I'm a big Cam Williams guy, like I said, but we need that offensive line has got to get addressed. It's like we just sort of keep dancing around. We bring wide receivers in, running back room's phenomenal. Jake Garcia showing out, quarterback room was, and there's the offensive line. So I think we need to, once June hits, these lists will start trimming down, and I think we start zoning in on some guys and bring some big fellas in. But that line has got to be fit. I can't just name one, but that's got to get addressed.
Yeah, I feel like in the last few years it hasn't been a priority. They'll get a few guys and they'll be like, all right, good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. We're going to bring in this guy, but no, I want a couple offensive line recruits that we just go, wow, that's what we wanted. That's that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So, but him and then DeSaint all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Sigmund wants to know about Hood. I'm guessing he means Jacob Hood, who I think just announced that he's visiting in June. He's another talented lineman. What do you think? What are the chances there?
Yeah, I believe June 25th, I believe, is when he's coming. And I like his chances. He's from down around the Nashville area, close by to Isaiah Horton. And we have hit up Nashville here recently. We've got those two, and there's somebody else from down around that area, and I can't place who it is. We've got 2 or 3 offers down there where they're interested in looking this way. So I love him. Going back to what I said, that's a position that we gotta. If he's our guy, you got to bring him in. And he's like dude's like 6'8", 350. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That is, man, that's Bryant McKinney size.
Yeah, he's 6'8" now. I mean, he's still growing.
Yeah, people forget these guys are 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
Like they could still grow another inch, and I've seen it happen.
Yeah, he may not be done. So yeah, Bryant McKinney, man, get those guys in here.
Absolutely. And speaking of, you were talking about just now we're recruiting other areas like Nashville, Texas, recruiting more nationally. Do you think that that's a product of, my South Florida recruiting is not what it usually is in most years? This year, for whatever reason, it's, only certain positions, or you think that that's something that's going to stick, that we're going to be a national recruiting brand?
I think it sticks. Not because this year supposedly a down year, South Florida in a couple spots. Next year, 2023 is going to be a polar opposite. I mean, the 2023 class is just absolutely packed. But if you look at some other programs, and I know we have the benefit of being in South Florida, but a lot of your big programs, they go other places and look. And I think this also shows if we can land some of these kids and they can come in and play and play well, it shows something to the South Florida kids. Yeah, we want to stay home and we want you here. And I know Manny wanted some coaches that could recruit that area, but I think we're kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, yeah, we want to stay home, but winning comes first. And if we've got to go other places, that's what we're going to do.
I agree, man. I'm all for it. I mean, especially fans that are, from the 80s and 90s, they're like, no, you just got to rope off South Florida and that's it. Well, to an extent, yes, but it's not what it used to be. There's talent everywhere. There's talent all over the country now.
Yeah, it has exploded. And that's what I'm saying. Used to, you had Florida, and then of course you go into Texas and some places like that. And we've got, I know George Fitzpatrick and I think Braden Miller are two offensive line recruits out of Colorado. I mean, we're going all over. If you can play, we want you here. We don't really care where you're from.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see what Keith Howell has to say. Anything on the transfer linebacker from the SEC? I believe he's probably talking about Dimitri Moore, the linebacker from Vandy. Heard anything lately there?
I don't think it's going to happen. And please let me be wrong. So if you follow me on Twitter at all, like I'm in first thing in the morning. Hey, I want that guy here, but it's kind of odd. It's kind of odd that that's a position of such need, and we're just sort of. There's been a lot of guys come through. If you look at the transfer portal, linebackers are stacked. It's not a matter of players not being there. But I know Manny said that he wanted to stick with what he had. Agree with it or not, I don't know. But he's the man. So in Manny, I trust. But I have not heard much about Moore. It was kind of the same, like I said earlier. It sort of blew up. That's all you heard, and then it just sort of fizzled out a little bit. I know they apparently were going to have a Zoom call with him last week or something, and
that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a really good thing, and now I'm just waiting. I don't know.
Gotcha. All right. Javier Fernandez. David, any word on Singletary?
I know that is one guy that Ja'Kuri Brown is on heavily. Ja'Kuri, actually, I know he came out and said that don't believe when you hear that he is just totally committed to Ohio State. He said he can be swayed. I know Brown is working on him hard and heavy. I know that for a fact. How good he's doing, I don't know. Singletary's keeping it really quiet, obviously, but if we can pull that off, home run. You bring him in and two or three others, man, you've got a nice class. But I know we're working on him. I know Brown's working on him. Brown was working on Bond too, but I'm just saying that's kind of what I'm hearing, and I hope it works out.
Yeah. I mean, I would think Ja'Cory Brown, being the talent that he is at quarterback, he's going to have some pull with some guys. I know some people were discouraged when, Bond visited with him and we thought we were going to get both guys. It was going to be a package deal, but he went elsewhere. He's going to have some pull. He's going to help bring some guys in, I think.
He is. I mean, guys are going to come down, and I hate to tell you, but June 1st, there's going to be a whole bunch of guys that are going to be at Miami. They're not all going to commit. So just because they come down doesn't mean anything, but we'll see.
Right. I mean, it helps.
It helps. Yeah.
It definitely helps when they visit here. I think whenever a big target is going to come visit for like a weekend or something, I'm always like, okay, that's going to definitely close the gap. If we're really behind, it's going to help a lot.
Yeah. If current players or commits get involved with that, it never hurts at all. It increases your chances for sure.
Absolutely. I don't want to keep you on too much longer. I know you're a busy man, but
no, you're good, man. I'm good.
Hit a few more. Randy Noel, why is Manny striking out on linebacker recruiting on the portal? It's terrible and yearly. I have my take on that. I think it's multiple things involved in that. What's your thoughts on that? Is that on Manny? Is that on past coaches with the staff? Is it a combination of things?
If you're upset about that, you're going to be more upset with my answer. I don't think he's striking out. I don't think he's really swinging too hard. I really don't. There's been some conversations and so on and so forth. And then you've got a lot of experts that supposedly know what happened. Newsflash, nobody knows except them. And I don't think he's really swinging that hard, to be honest with you. He said he was going to roll with what he had. If we like it or not, I can't help that, but that is what the man said. And so far, he's not shown me to do anything else. He said that, and he hasn't brought anybody in. So as of now, I got to go with that. Like I said, Dimitri Moore to me is a no-brainer, but that's not my decision to make. So, I don't think he's necessarily striking out. I just don't think he's really gone after anybody.
Yeah, I feel the same way. The last few years, ever since that class of Pinckney, Quarterman, and McLeod, It's been, a guy here, an Avery Huff, DeAndre Wilder, remember him? And that's it. So, yeah, no, and I remember that year we brought in those three guys. They weren't supposed to start right away. You had Jermaine Grace, you had Jawan Young, and Quan Muhammad. They all get kicked off the team.
Yeah.
That kind of sucked. A lot of people forget that. We were supposed to have more depth, but, so that's why I think it's a combination of things. But you're right. I feel like his focus is way more striker, safety, D-end, getting after the quarterback, which is great. But you need to be able to stop the run. You need to be able to stop a counterplay, which we cannot as of right now.
No, we're not even close. And I love Manny's style of defense. I love it. And I know his style simplifies things for some guys. You sort of pin your ears back and you go. And I don't know if he's thinking some of the guys that have struggled the last year or two are going to flourish under that. I don't know. But, we've seen that with his defense. It's all or nothing. You give up a big play and then you tackle for loss for 6 yards. So that may just be what he's going to roll with right now. I just don't know.
Yeah, it seems like his concern is, can we get after the quarterback? Can we get turnovers? And let my offense score. Which, if the offense is scoring, that could be enough this year. But we need those linebackers ultimately.
Yep.
Bergie has brought this up a lot in the past, and it's tough to argue that Manny has never had dominant linebacker play. He's never recruited the position well or developed it. It's hard to argue that because Shaq, great as a freshman, kind of just stayed at that level. He kind of stayed as like a B plus kind of player. He never progressed into like that top 2 or 3 round draft pick. Pinckney, same thing, but he battled injuries. I don't know. But I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, can't argue. He's not proven it wrong so far, and so far this year he's not. So other than with the recruiting class, I think we've got some good guys there. But I think that's more of Coach Ish and Patke right now. I don't know how much Manny's got to do with that, but I agree.
Yeah. What's your opinion of Packy, by the way? Because the fans are kind of split on him. Some have faith in him. Some are like, why do we keep him?
I'm sort of the same, and for some reason he has never, as far as the fans go, has never just taken off. For some reason, there's always been something there against Packy, but every kid I talk to, they love him. I've talked to several, and I know Devon Jackson, for example, is a guy that's back on Miami's radar. I talked to him back in, well, I know he dropped his top 5 like in February. I talked to him in April.
Mm-hmm.
He said he hadn't even been contacted since he dropped his top 5. And then, I was like, what? And then, because Deshaun Woods was kind of hopefully a package deal with that,
Right, their teammates.
I know
right?
now.
Yeah.
I talked to him. I hit him up last week just to see if anything else was different. He's like, man, I just now scheduled an official visit with him. They just reached back out today. He said, it's crazy you would even ask. And I said, who reached out? He said, Coach Packy. And so the recruits and the players like him. They like to play for him. I don't know. For some reason, I don't think he's even a terrible coach. But for some reason, it's never really taken off. But I'm interested to see what he does this year with the position change.
I am too. I think a lot of the defense was held back because of what Blake Baker was running.
Yes.
And by association, Packy was kind of like lumped into that because, we didn't have the most talented guys at linebacker last year either. So he kind of just got lumped in with all that. I agree. I want to see how he does this year. But you brought up a guy, I'd written him down, a guy that I wanted to bring up as well, Devon Jackson, who I remember when he and Deshaun Woods both dropped their top 5s or top 6s or whatever. Miami was on both. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't shock me that you say that they didn't really reach out because they dropped those top 5s and I'm like, oh, those are 2 uber talented guys. That's awesome. Didn't hear a peep about those guys after that, really.
Yeah. And the big thing there, T. Will was his primary recruiter. And so once he left, I don't know if he sort of fell through the cracks or what, or they just, I don't know. But for whatever reason, he said once that happened, like I said, it was about 6 weeks when I talked to him after his top 5. He said, I have not been contacted by anybody from Miami since then. The only person he was even relating to was Coach Justice, because his dad had coached with Coach Justice somewhere else down the line. But he said that really doesn't count because I'm not an offensive guy. I'm definitely, I'm not hearing from anybody from the defensive side. And then last week he tells me he talked to Coach Packy, and as soon as he talked to Packy, he scheduled an official visit. Go figure.
Gotcha.
But I think that goes along with some of the guys that we're kind of looking at now. Maybe we're not going to hit some of the guys we've been after. Maybe we're hearing some things, and now we're starting to open things back up with some other guys that we talked to earlier on. So you'll see a few guys, I think, pop back in there.
Okay. Hey, I mean, that's not a bad thing. I think they're doing it early enough in the cycle that, they didn't wait until August to do it. Devon Jackson, 6'2", 200-pound kid, and still has room to grow. A lot of people think he's more of a striker. I think he's got room to grow, man. I think he's going to be more than big enough to play linebacker at D1 level.
And if he can come and bring Deshaun Woods with him, they're big buddies. And like you said, I think that sort of fell off when Jackson sort of fell off. Maybe I don't know, but that would be fantastic if that could kind of stir back up. So
yeah, no, for sure. I wanted to touch as more questions come in. I wanted to touch on something real quick that we touched on Sunday, me and Flo. The current star rating system, and I'm sure you've talked about this before. Do you think for the most part that system works, or do you think there's some serious flaws to it and they should, it should kind of be revamped?
Yeah, it does work, not all the time, I guess, but I think my biggest concern with that is that you'll have guys that get all the stars, your 4 and 5 star guys, and they deserve them. Yeah, I get it. In high school, they look great, so here's you a 4 star. But there's so many kids that just flat don't get that exposure that if they got it, they would be 3 and 4 stars at least. And a lot of that comes from not being able to go to camps and things like that for whatever reason. I just wish there was a way to kind of broaden that thing, or maybe give some other kids some opportunities, or something. You're going to have some 4 star guys that just aren't going to pan out. On the other hand, you're going to have some 3 star guys that just flourish. It's not perfect. I don't absolutely hate it. I know a lot of people, stars don't matter. To me, they do. I'm not saying it's everything. You're going to have a bust here or there, but it's just going to happen. But there are so many kids, and especially in the state of Florida. I mean, I did that for 2 or 3 years, just strictly working with and trying to take kids that had 0 stars, no exposure, probably be all state if they lived somewhere else, and just couldn't afford to go to camps, didn't have transportation, uh, played at a school where they didn't get a lot of exposure, that sort of thing. I just wish there was an outlet or something for that. I know your big systems are going to cover the big name kids. I just wish there was a way to get into it to give some of those other kids an opportunity, whether it's playing in the state of Florida or getting offers elsewhere. Because the amount of kids, I'm telling you now, in that state that have no offers and no stars would just blow your mind.
Oh, I'm sure. No, and the transfer portal is going to kill that even more.
Yeah, yeah. So I just wish there was an outlet for that. Just something to give those other kids an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the most part, it works. It does have its flaws that, like, if a guy gets an early offer from like a Bama or an LSU or whatever, that affects their rating, or for whatever reason, I think Don Chaney committed to Miami really early and he went from a 5 to a 4. I don't know why, but you see weird stuff like that. It's kind of, there's a little politics involved, but for the most part, I mean, I think I heard a stat that of the 32 first round picks, whatever, a few weeks back, 7 of them or 8 of them were 5-star recruits in high school.
Wow.
So
yeah,
it's kind of accurate.
Yeah, yeah. It's like everything else. It's hit or miss. You're going to win some and lose some, but like I said, there's just so many out there, man. I would love to see it kind of broaden a little bit. But,
Yeah. Terry has a good point. If no linebacker transfer is taken, then that tells me that they have guys switching to linebacker. They know it's a problem, but it seems like they have a plan to fix it. It seems like they are doing that. I'm not buying, though, what Manny said the other day that, oh, we're good with what we got. I think if there's a guy that he's interested in, he's going to grab him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it's I can sit here and look at what's available and think, why would you not take that guy? I don't know. They talk to these guys. It's more than what they did on the field. And keep in mind, every single transfer, the one thing they've got in common is for some reason they left the school that they're at. For some reason, there's something there. They talk to these guys. Why did you leave? Were there issues or, things that we just don't know about as fans? So it's hard for me to believe that he hasn't seen somebody catch his eye, but obviously he hasn't because he has not brought anybody in. But I'm more concerned with that. With bringing out, we need somebody with 2 years eligibility to give these other guys. I'm not saying we don't have some talent. I just think they need to develop, is what worries me. And then you look at Flag. I like him, but what happens after that? In case you haven't noticed, we start out with Alabama, and I promise you, Nick Saban is looking at our linebacker situation right now and just licking his chops. So,
Yes, he
that's
is.
my big thing with it.
Yes, he is. And right on cue. They better have a plan because, Bama will be testing our linebackers. I agree. They're going to be going right after those guys. Yep. Our D-line, I think, will be better this year with Coach Simpson back and, Harrison Hunt and Nesta and all those guys. But if they get past that first level, it's not good.
And that's another issue with the Manny's style of defense. You better have some depth because guys are going to get gassed. They're going to get tired. It's pin your ears back and go, 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 go. And, a team like Alabama, they'll let you do that for a little bit, and then what do you got coming off the sidelines? What's behind these guys? And it's not going to hold up for 4 quarters with what we have, I don't think.
Yeah, that's been a problem though since like 2005.
Yeah.
Like the depth has been an issue forever. I feel like this is the first year I feel like, oh, we actually have some depth. Yeah, at certain positions we're pretty loaded. Thin at others, but some were pretty loaded. Sigmund, do you think we need a defensive end? We could use one more. I would say it's frustrating though, I think. What do you think? I think we got talent at the defensive end spot. It just seems like no one's really popping off and emerging.
Yeah, and again, same thing. I think a lot of those guys are going to benefit from the way Manny just lets them go. But yeah, could we use one more? Yeah, I mean, we use 2 more. I mean, the more the merrier. But that's not a huge area of concern for me. I mean, like I said, I would like to bring one in. But I think some guys are going to flourish with the way Manny's going to call it and the way Coach Simpson's going to coach them up. That's going to make you – that's what you got to understand. We've actually got coaches now that can develop, and they're shown that they can develop on the defensive side. So I think that's going to help. That's going to make a big difference.
For sure. Bergie, do you think we have the depth at D-line to stop Bama's O-line? Oof. That's an O-line that no one stops. So
absolutely not.
I mean, they just got 5 bulldozers up front every year.
And they've got 5 more
behind
waiting to come in. Exactly what I just said, and I said that a while ago about our offensive line. I feel comfortable with our first 5, but after that, what do you got behind that? The Alabamas and the Clemsons and the Georgias, man, they've got 5 guys and then 5 more behind them ready to come in. So that's where we have to address those issues. I think we could hang with them for a quarter, for a minute, but after a while, they just simply overpower you.
Yeah, I think it will be a competitive game I'm thinking for a half, maybe for 3 quarters. I would love to see that, but especially if we're prepared. But they throw too much. There's just too much talent, too much depth at you.
And that's kind of what you're going to run into. Are we going to come out and score 50 points and keep putting their offense back on the field? Or are we going to be able to run it and, kind of run that clock a little bit? A lot of folks have said, hey, we're going to score 50 or 60. Well, that's great. You score quick. Here comes their offense.
Yeah.
So thank goodness I'm just a fan. I can sit on the couch and figure it all out and say that's what they should have done. But thank goodness I don't have to make those calls in September.
Yeah. I mean, I feel good enough about our D-line that we're going to do well against the Coastal. We're going to do well against the other teams in our schedule.
I would feel so much better about the linebacker situation if the schedule was different. If Bama was the 4th game and we had Appalachian State and those games, the first 3, some guys get their feet wet and get those butterflies out, and then Bama comes in, I feel a whole lot better. But that's my big concern for linebacker help now. We need someone to come in that has played some time at a big program that can come in and give us some immediate help week 1, not week 4 or 5 or next year. We need it week 1.
We do. Yeah, because a lot of fans are saying, oh, we catch them week 1. And I get it. We catch them week 1 and, you don't think Bama's going to be prepared week 1?
Yeah, that's fantastic. They're going to be rested. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, they're not going to have a single injury. Miami Flow. What's going on, man? They're going to be rested, ready to go. And they got a young quarterback in Bryce Young that doesn't have really starting experience, but he's going to be ready.
Yeah.
So I got one more question for you. You touched on one thing, the Bamas and the Clemsons. We were on a roundtable a while back. I think it was Coach Hayes that said, from being that level of college football, from being like one of the elites, we're still like 4 or 5 years away. I don't think we're that far. I think we're maybe like 2 years away. Because of the quarterbacks we're starting to bring in, what do you think? How far away do you think we are from that upper echelon of football?
The upper echelon, he may be right. and I don't want it to be. I hate that answer because it could be right, and I don't mean that. That's upper echelon. You got to understand what I'm talking about there. I'm talking about Bama and playoffs every single year, not playoffs and then you go 4 or 5 years. I'm talking every single year where when you don't win a ring, something's wrong. That's what I'm talking. So that could be, but winning the ACC, winning the Coastal every single stinking year, it should be 2 years, man. I mean, winning the Coastal every year should not be that big of a deal. It just really shouldn't. And what I want, you hear a lot of North Carolina and things. It's like I always said, man. We're Miami. It's time we start acting like it and get these guys in here. There's no excuses, and I'm going to get on my soapbox if I'm not careful. But Manny's got his staff, man. It's here. You wanted him, you got him. You wanted T-Rob, you got him. You wanted to promote DVD, you got him. You've got your offensive staff in place. You want to coach Ish, you got him. These are all supposed big-time recruiters and big-time developers. So that should not take 5 years. Couple of years, get some guys in here, and let's get this thing fixed. 4 or 5, possibly. I would like to see at least a playoff appearance, at least 1 year in the next 5 years. I don't want to wait 5 years for that happens, but I'm talking if you want to talk about every single year, yeah, that's probably right. That takes a lot. That takes a lot to have those types of guys, man. We're like we talked about their offensive line at Bama. They've got 5 guys, man, and the guy goes down. We're all concerned. The guy goes down over there, you don't even really hear about it because the next guy is just that good. We're a few years from that, but I don't think it's 5 years before we're competitive and relevant.
Right. Yeah, there's a difference between competitive and relevant, which, in other words, like you said, win the Coastal every year. That should be happening right now.
Yeah, we're overdue. That should have been happening in the last 2 years. That's way past due. That's got to get fixed now. That gets fixed this year, next year at the very most. But that has to happen now. That's absolutely unexcusable in my book.
Absolutely. And I think that's the perfect spot to end on. And yeah, so anything we've hit the hour mark. Anything else you want to add, David?
No, just it's going to be the next 2 weeks, man. We've been talking about June. We've talked about it all year and the last several months, and that's about to come to pass. We're going to see what we've got and what types of coaches we've brought in, and like I said, big time recruiters. There's a lot of names out there. It's almost to the point now we don't care who you get, just get some of them. There's so many 4-star guys and elite guys that we're recruiting. Everybody's got their names. I mean, if you can just get a good mix of those guys, we're going to be in good shape. So hang tight. It's almost like a kid before Christmas, man. It's coming June 1st. And once June hits, good or bad, it's going to happen. So the wheels are either going to fall off or things are just going to completely blow up. So, get ready.
Yeah. All right, man. Looking forward to it. But yeah, thanks again for taking some time and hopping on with me. Really appreciate it. I always like talking recruiting in the off season, and I know you're the go-to guy for that. Your Twitter handle is Recruit the South, correct?
Yes, sir. At Recruit the South.
At Recruit the South. So give David a follow if you have not already. Please give me a follow. It is. Let me turn this off really quick. The comment. That way you guys can see my Twitter handle. It's right there at the Canes @Canes_blog. The Canes blog on YouTube. You're watching the channel right now. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. Once again, man, thanks for being on. Really appreciate it. At 9 p.m., folks, go over to the Canes Insight channel. They have their weekly show, and that about does it for us. Let's see. Bergie says thank you. Appreciate the info. All right, man. That does it for us. As always, it's all about the U. Go Canes. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. Take care.